Thailand has released 18 Cambodian soldiers it captured in July as part of a new ceasefire deal. A large crowd greeted the soldiers as they arrived in Cambodia's western Pailin province. Thailand and Cambodia signed the ceasefire on Saturday. The agreement ended 3 weeks of fighting that killed more than 100 people and displaced around 1 million. All right, for more on this, let's go to Cambodia, where our correspondent Asad Baig is standing by at the border with Thailand. So, Asad, it was just yesterday, Thailand said that the release of these 18 Cambodian soldiers was being delayed. What changed between then and now, and what is the Cambodian side saying about it?
What changed is that Cambodia says that the conditions laid out in that ceasefire were fully met. Now, as you said, Thailand had delayed the release of those 18 soldiers, citing alleged Cambodian drone activity. Now, Cambodia has denied that. It says it has complied with that agreement, that 72-hour agreement, to the letter. Now, these 18 soldiers were released at the Prune border crossing earlier this morning. Now, they were detained for 5 months. Cambodia says they were released under international observation, including ASEAN monitors and the Red Cross, to remove any ambiguity. Now, Cambodia is playing this here and framing it as a diplomatic win and a promise kept to the families of those soldiers, and also saying that this shows that it is dialogue and not escalation that secured their release.
So look, this is being presented as a sort of confidence-building step, but obviously, as you say, there have been accusations of ceasefire violations. How fragile is the truce at this stage, and what do we expect will come next?
Well, it's very fragile. This does resolve the issues around the soldiers. It is a confidence-building step, but it doesn't resolve many of the other issues. Like, many people are still too afraid to return to their homes, especially those whose villages are occupied or controlled by the Thai military. So it doesn't resolve that. It doesn't resolve the territorial disputes. It doesn't address the military imbalances or how this ceasefire will be monitored and secured. So although this does help, the next few days are very crucial and critical to see whether this truce holds or it's just a temporary pause in a much longer conflict.
Yeah, and I know that you've been talking to a lot of folks who've been displaced by this conflict, and I wonder, are people where you are getting any sort of direction as to whether to stay there or to go home from the government? And are a lot of people that you've met actually planning to go back soon?
Yes and no. Some people have been told, yes, it's safe to go back to certain areas. Others, what they're relying on is their village network. So there's usually a chair of the village that tells them it's okay to go back or not. But some people are finding that their homes have been damaged, destroyed, and some people are finding that their villages are inaccessible. Now, we this morning were outside the village called Chuk Chai, and that has been cut off by the Thai military. There's metal containers and barbed wire. So those people in that village can't return, and they don't know the state of their homes. But what the government is doing is giving out aid to those people that are displaced in displacement camps. But right now, we just don't have the number. We knew before that 600,000 people have been displaced, but we don't know how many have gone back, how many have stayed, and how many people have moved elsewhere to feel safer.
All right, Al Jazeera's Asad Baig monitoring the fragile truce on the Thai-Cambodia border. Asad, thanks so much. Ian Chong, he is an associate professor of political science at the National University of Singapore. Thank you so much for being on the program, sir. So on the one hand, you have these 18 Thai soldiers that have been returned. On the other hand, they were delayed by an entire day. So what should we read into this, I wonder?
So my read would be that there is an effort by the different sides to move forward on the ceasefire agreement. However, mutual distrust, obstacles still remain. Things aren't smooth. So while this is a good sign, there is the potential that the ceasefire deal could break down.
And there was firing along the border right up until this ceasefire actually took effect. To your point, this is a temporary truce. What is supposed to happen next?
Well, next, the different sides are supposed to talk more, to build trust, and to move towards some sort of resolution eventually of the border differences. But, it's not just the border differences. The two sides really don't trust each other very much. There are issues of, one side thinking that the other is taking or grabbing land from the other side. So there's quite a lot to work through, despite what we have on paper.
I wonder, given the delicacy of the situation, how much potential there is or how much danger there might be of maybe misread signals or, say, benign movements of troops, say, being misinterpreted wrongly by the other side.
There is, of course, that potential. That's precisely the reason why there's an ASEAN observer mission that's supposed to be deployed. But, despite that, things can still be misread. You're absolutely right. Things are delicate. There is an effort to try to reduce the mistrust, reduce any miscommunication or miscalculation. But, things can only go so far. Ultimately, things still lie both with the commanders on the ground and also the political leaders in the two capitals.
And look, a ceasefire is one thing, but ultimately to truly solve this problem, they have to figure out and agree on where the border actually lies. Do you think that there's a real possibility that this could happen over the next couple of weeks, or do you think that the best outcome is just a truce for the moment?
I think the best outcome is for the truce to last and for these things to get sorted out. I think it's very difficult to sort out those borders. As with many borders, it's not. There's no sort of clear shining line in the sand. The different sides need to work out the differences. Emotions are running very high. That needs to calm down a little bit before any sort of realistic progress for even talking can happen. And after that, maybe there will be progress over time, but these issues, they've been around for decades, and the origins go back maybe a century or more. So these are not easy issues to disentangle.
Talk to me about the internal and external pressures that each of these countries is facing. Surely there's pressure from within, Thailand and Cambodia not to show any weakness, but there's also external forces that are trying to get these two to make a deal. Which of those pressures is stronger at this stage, do you think?
So right now, I think we are at a pretty delicate equilibrium where the internal and external forces sort more or less cancel each other out. But, things could tip in one direction or the other if various outside powers, especially the United States or the PRC, decide that they want to add more pressure to move things along. They won't solve things, they could move things along. Or if Beijing or Washington lose attention. And ASEAN, the Association for Southeast Asian Nations, they've been trying to sort of broker some sort of arrangement, but they apparently aren't able to do so on their own without major power involvement. So lack of attention from the outside actors may allow the sort of internal forces to take over. That's a big risk, I would think.
All right, Ian Chong from the National University of Singapore. We appreciate your insights today. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay ahead.